All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are super excited to be kicking off our spring 2022 Lunch and Learn series. I am Nicole Hutchison. I'm here with Dr. Linda Peterson. We're from Statera Integrated Health and Wellness Solutions. We do these Lunch and Learns every spring and every fall. And this season, I am super excited that Linda has agreed to help me out with a special series called Life Simplified. And so why did we choose this topic? This is something that we talk about a lot here at Statera. So we believe in mind, body, spirit, health, and wellness. And in today's society, we tend to live such a fast-paced, high-stressed life. We tend to be overbooked, overworked, over busy, everything, right? And we wanted to look at opportunities that we could help our clients to really identify where that busyness is coming from, what maybe they could simplify in their lives, how to simplify those things in their lives, and then be able to go forward with greater health and wellness, mind, body, and spirit. So one of the other things that we really focus on here at Statera in working on simplifying our lives is really simplifying even down to just one word. Right. And so if you've never read the book One Word, there are actually several versions of it. They're all great, but there's one that's a little black and white book. It's very short, easy to read. You can find it on Amazon.com. We actually have it available here in the clinic too. But it talks a lot about just identifying that one word that is meaningful to you. And what was your word this year?
My word is simplify.
I love it. So we are super excited to get started. Today, we're going to be focusing on learning a little bit more about why we're so busy, identifying where that busyness is coming in our lives. Okay, so yeah. Oh, here we go. Self-evaluation. So today is self-evaluation. Is it time to simplify your life? And then the next 4 upcoming sessions will be the 2nd and 4th Thursdays of each week. So March 10th and 24th, April 14th and 28th. We're going to go through simplifying your thinking, your space, your schedule, and even your self-care, which is just really cool. Yeah. I'm excited about that too. I'm excited about a lot of things today. It seems like. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, quite honestly, as a coach. Me too. So anyway, we should go ahead and get started. Linda, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. Okay, so why is it even important to take time for self-evaluation? If you've read Alice in Wonderland or watched the movie, you might remember this quote. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? Well, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to. I don't much care where. Then it really doesn't matter which way you go. So if you think about that, so often in life, we get on a path and we just keep moving forward and never, with the flow, and rarely even questioning whether it's our path, whether it's the path we want to be on or stay on. And we get so busy, we don't even consciously decide whether something is necessary to do or even worth doing. Yeah. And I like to think about the Thanksgiving platter. It used to be our plate is full. We are all now carrying around platters, and if you
platters plural too.
Platters, we're juggling our platters and spinning them in circles on a pole. Yeah. And so we keep piling things on, and we never take the time to determine whether there are things we can take off the platter. And so it's no wonder that we're stressed, we're exhausted, and overscheduled. And so often you may be even thinking already, just listening to what we're talking about, where am I going to find time to really do a thorough self-evaluation of the path I'm on? Because we hear it all the time when we talk about, how to take care of yourself and things you maybe want to consider doing for yourself and your family. I'm too busy. And so we hear it all the time. I'm too busy to plan and prep meals. I'm too busy to work more movement into my day. I'm too busy to make contact with the people that have been in my life over the years. I'm too busy to write a letter or return a phone call. People will text because we know that's faster and it's less commitment. I'm too busy to organize my home, let alone a drawer. I'm too busy to delete my computer files. I'm guilty of that. And we don't even take time to reflect on whether we are living our values, the values that we hold most dear. And we hear all the time, I don't even have time to think. And I think we've probably said it to each other. I don't even have time to think today. So as Nicole likes to say, it may be time to become a human being instead of a human doing. And simplifying is really just looking at the clutter in your life and trying to find ways to remove some of it. And so let's take a look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Hopefully this doesn't look familiar
This
to
stresses me
anyone.
out.
I know. So I really like you to think about where the clutter lives in your life. We know that these pictures are extreme, I believe, although I have seen a car look like that, not mine, thank goodness. But yeah, even though these are extreme, you can find clutter in so many places: your home, your car, your office, your computer, your calendar, even in your mind with emotional clutter, with doubt or fears or really negative self-talk that just we get on that negative tape and keep playing it over and over and over. So there can be clutter in our minds as well. And so often we ask each other, well, how are you? Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I hear it all the time. I am so busy. And
we are just as guilty as
oh yeah, we don't have all the
anybody,
answers,
too.
just some suggestions.
Right.
Yeah, and so when we do say we're busy, sometimes, well, one thing I want you to look at in particular is the calendar on the lower left corner. I know people that their calendars look a lot like this. And so our culture has then become so obsessed with being busy, and we confuse busy sometimes with productivity, success, making us maybe feel a little more important or in demand. Sometimes we get a benefit from thinking that we're needed. Okay. And that's a really good prescription for being overwhelmed and stressed, is getting caught into that cycle. So I'd like you to really think about, are you busy doing things that are most meaningful to you? Or are you just saying yes for other reasons? And so let's try to keep in our mind to stop this glorification of being busy. It is not helping any of us to grow and find peace. So next question is, do I need to simplify my life? Maybe you're saying, I feel like everything's in control here. But the fact that you're watching this, you may have had some indication that it's time to start simplifying. And so again, when we talk about the clutter, I love this definition. Clutter is anything that stands between you and the life you want to be living. Okay. And it can be found in so many different ways. So you may need to simplify if you find yourself feeling like, my life is out of balance. I have no balance here. I'm spending all my time working, and that's usually the case. I'm spending so many hours working.
We do hear a lot about life work, like home work balance. Yeah. But it's also, and we're going to talk more about this, I think, today, not just work and home, but it's also time for you and get all the things that are priorities in your life. So,
right. You may find yourself running from one commitment to another with no time in between. You have yourself booked. I'm looking at Nicole for a reason. You find yourself booked like every half hour or back to back to back, and no time to even take care of the basic bodily functions in the day, in a meaningful way. So
you have to schedule in
you time.
Right.
Yeah.
Breaks.
Bathroom breaks.
Bathroom breaks.
Okay. Next, you're finding that there really is no time for self-care. You may feel like I really need a massage, but where am I going to put that? Where am I going to fit that in? You may
even think of self-care. Even think of self-care as being those simple things of finding time in your day to get nutrition.
Yeah.
Hydration.
Yep.
meditation, whatever it looks like for you for self-care. Don't feel like self-care has to be that, big commitment of an hour, 2 hours, a half a day or anything like that. It's even for the small things too.
I've even had clients say, I can't drink that much water because I don't have enough time to go to the bathroom that often at my job.
Yeah. Seriously.
Know? And so we know something's out of balance if that's the case.
Yep.
You may find that you're short-tempered with people or losing your temper even with yourself. You may find that you're exhausted. We just hear this all the time. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired, that I can't even sleep right. And you may just find that everything about your existence feels cluttered. Your mind, your body, your spirit. There just is no time to breathe. You may look at your schedule like that calendar we just looked at and say, myself and my family, between kids going from this activity to the next and being a chauffeur and trying to fit in your own schedule, people are critically overscheduled. And all of this leads to chronic stress without any recovery time. And we know that when you're stressed and you don't take time to bring that stress level back to a normal level, you're going to have very bad consequences with your health and well-being. That's where a lot of our illnesses come from, is that chronic stress over time. And, Nicole found this quote from Confucius, life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. And I think that's true for human beings. And if Confucius in Confucius's time thought life was complicated, add social media and everything that we're trying to juggle and balance right now. And so simplifying really means looking at the clutter in your life and determining what you can let go of. But you truly have to have a willingness to let go. And that's hard. It's really hard when you think everything is critically important. You have to have the willingness to let go. And that might mean letting go of things, of stuff. It might mean letting go of old beliefs that you've held for a lifetime. Might mean letting go of habits that are no longer serving you, judgments that you've had. And unfortunately, sometimes it means letting go of people that are toxic in your life and that are not serving your well-being.
Or at least creating healthy boundaries too.
Yes.
And sometimes when we talk about letting things go, letting relationships go, those kinds of things, it can be really scary and overwhelming. So don't get too caught up in that right now. Just know that that is something that we're going to definitely talk about a lot more in one of the upcoming weeks. So for right now, don't worry about, how scary it could be to let go of those things, how much it could potentially change your identity or your day or, those kinds of things. But yeah, hang in there.
Today is really about finding the willingness to take a look. Yep. That's all today is about.
Yep.
Okay, so if you're still not convinced that simplifying might be something that you're ready to take a look at and open up your willingness muscle to, let's look at some more reasons why this can be important to you. Okay, so simplifying your life, it gives you more control over your time, your space, and your energy. So I'd like you to just think about who is deciding how you spend most of your most precious resource, which is your time. Are you in the driver's seat, or are other people dictating how you're going to spend your time? Next, I'd like you to think about how simplifying can truly reduce your stress. We'll go into that more in future weeks as well. But stress really leads to lifestyle-related illnesses. And so probably one of the biggest health benefits to simplifying your life is reducing your stress.
It can be everything from blood pressure to anxiety, depression,
weight gain.
Weight gain, absolutely. Yep.
Next is, let's put the next one too. Thank you. It improves your focus and concentration. And because we have to stop trying to multitask. Okay.
Are you looking at me again?
We truly, and truly, we were sold a lie that a long time ago that multitasking is a sign of productivity or success. And the more we're learning about the brain, we actually know now that our brain cannot hold on to two things at once. It will move quickly around, but you cannot truly focus on more than one thing at a time. And so really starting to single task is going to give you focus, concentration, productivity, creativity, and clarity. And it would be really good for our business leaders to really know that too, that I'm not looking at you. Business leaders.
Must be a guilty conscience.
To know that, we're not truly being as productive and creative as we could be in the workplace if we're trying to do more than one thing at a time. So really think about that and know that this is a true benefit. Next, it can lead to financial freedom. You may wonder about that, but really when we learn to live with less, can truly put more money back into our pockets. Because I find I've done this and clients are talking about this all the time. They're working longer hours, more hours to collect more stuff, to purchase. It improves their purchase power. Bigger house, more things, better car. And those are not bad things. But if you are giving away so much of your time and space and energy to that, you're taking away from other places in your life that you may want to be using that.
And I've known people who are working so much to be able to afford those things that they don't have the time then to enjoy
them.
those things.
Right.
Yeah.
That is where we get stuck.
Yep.
And remember that collecting stuff just leads to feeling overwhelmed. It really is not a key to happiness. And, it's funny, we pay for storage units around town. They're building storage units all over for us to put our stuff that we've collected and no longer want to have within our site or can't hold in our home.
Yeah.
And, the answer is not buying more totes. It is downsizing and reducing clutter. So that can all lead to financial freedom in the long run. And next, it allows you to be mindful and fully present. And it's one of our favorite topics here at Statera is living in the moment and letting go of past anxieties and future worries and really being present in the moment, which also leads to strengthening your relationships with your family, your children, your spouse, your significant other. As I was putting this together, I was researching how much time the average couple spends together. And it said the average couple spends about 2 hours a day together. And those 2 hours are usually spent watching TV together, eating, cooking, household chores, and wrangling the kids, getting them ready, errands and stuff like that. And so the amount of time that couples actually spend one-on-one communicating is about 4 minutes a day. 4 minutes. And we wonder why relationships get into trouble.
But really when I think about it, even though I work with my husband, we're together at work all day long. We're together in the evenings. We're even empty nesters now. So we have that additional time. Yeah, how much of the time that we do actually have where we're together are we actually communicating? Yeah. And then what are we talking about too? Are we talking about work?
The kids and the work. And, and financial struggles and all of that. So so really being
real communication.
Really decluttering can help you be more fully present with those you love and giving more time to those people. And then it truly allows you to live your purpose and live on purpose rather than on autopilot. And that's what I hear so often is that people just feel like it's remote control. They're just, they're running fast and they're running on empty. And so we also know that living on purpose can lead you to more peace and joy. And I think that's what we're all trying to get in the long run. So, okay. So again, where do you begin? Simplifying can mean we have to be brutally honest with ourselves, and that is so difficult. Um, we may have to make some difficult choices when we're looking at what we need to remove from those platters that we're juggling. It means we have to say no to something in order to allow time and space for something else that is more important. And so some of these questions will help you figure out what is the most important thing in my life right now, and what might I be able to let go of. So
yeah, we'll be talking about these questions. We'll just go through them really briefly here during the webinar, but then we will also have these available for you to go to our website so that you can download these and spend a little time, because it's so important to carve out time in your schedule to think about these things, ask yourself these questions, even as uncomfortable as it might be sometimes, like you said, but to do that sooner rather than later, because unfortunately, a lot of times what we see is, you know, that catastrophic thing happens before somebody recognizes how important it is, how short life is,
how precious the time is.
Yeah, how precious our time is, for sure. So.
And when people come to the later years in their life, or they're on their deathbed, you know, what is your one wish? People want more time, or more time with the people that they love. And that's what's important. And we can choose to do that right now and not wait until later for it. And so start asking yourself some questions. And I encourage you to really write your answers down. Get out your journal, get out a nice new notebook, and write some of this down, because you're going to want to look back on it. Is this the life I want to be living right now? You know, and sometimes it's not the perfect life. It rarely is. But we need to really look at it. Is it the life we want to be living? And if it is so far from it, then we need, you know, maybe it's close, or maybe within a couple of years you feel like you will be there. But yeah, really ask that question to yourself, which the second one goes along with it. Am I genuinely happy? You know, and I'll have people say, well, I'm happy enough. What does that mean? Happy enough? You know, I truly believe, I think Nicole believes, we're here to experience happiness and joy. It's not all going to be that, but we are meant to live in joy. And so what is blocking that for you? Am I genuinely happy? If not, you know, what's blocking your joy? Next, what's working in my life? It's not all about what isn't working. This is a way of finding out your priorities and your values. What is really working for me right now? You know, and along with that, the opposite. So what truly is not working? And these answers don't always come easily, but allow yourself to just put pen to paper and see what comes out. Don't be afraid of it. And next, what do I need more of right now? And what do I need less of? And again, right now, this can change over years and decades, but right now in your life, what do you need more of? And again, you know what I hear? Time. Time is the one thing that people can almost always will say, I need more time.
And what do they say they want less of?
Stress.
Yeah.
More
Definitely.
time, less stress. That's what we're trying to present you with for this series. Okay, next. What do I have control over changing? You know, and if you think about the serenity prayer, you know, we need to understand, what do we have control of? And so many of us feel like everything is outside of our control. Somebody else is in the driver's seat and we are just responding to everybody else's needs. And so we truly have more control than we think we do. There are always choices. They may not be perfect, they may be difficult, but there are always choices in most everything that we're doing. So what do you have control over? What needs to change? And then what level of control do you have over changing that thing? This may be the most important. What is no longer serving me that I can release? Releasing is hard. I mean, some things we've been doing for 20, 30 years and never question. It's a habit. You know, so really questioning, why am I still doing that? You know, it's just become,
It goes back to living on autopilot.
Yeah. and taking it off autopilot and asking, I don't enjoy this. Nobody really wants to do this anymore. And I have found that, like with holidays, some families, they've done the same traditions over the years. And when they really ask family members, how would you like to spend this? They all want to do something different, but nobody has said, I don't want to do that anymore. Let's do this. Let's go on a ski vacation
Well, and
instead.
you're not going to know what's no longer serving you and what you can release unless you do some of the first steps of actually taking the time to sit down and be mindful and evaluate what is working, what's not working, what's going well, what's not going well. So,
And then the last one, and I like to ask this with clients a lot, because we get overwhelmed with all the changes we think we have to make. So what is one change? And it doesn't have to be enormous. Just what is the change you could make today that would have a positive impact on almost every aspect of your life?
And I love how you said that. It doesn't have to be this huge, people think, oh, when I set a goal or I set out to make a change in my life, it's going to have to be this huge life-altering, impressive thing. And it really doesn't. It can be something very, very small.
For a lot of people, it's getting up 10 minutes earlier and having a quiet 10 minutes with a cup of coffee or tea and a little meditation or a reading that keeps them grounded for the day. Something as simple as 10 minutes, or going for that 10-minute walk after you get home from work and before you start the evening activities. So it can be very simple, but it could change every aspect of your life in a positive way. Okay, so after you've looked at some of those questions, how might you even begin? Because again, it can feel so overwhelming. Like it's so out of control. I don't even know where to start. So I'm going to give you 4 things that I'd like you to think about, maybe starting to take a deeper look at. And one is priority management. And we hear so much about, getting control of our time and time management. And that's just more about scheduling all that stuff in your day, and that's not necessarily, it can make our day go a little smoother, but it's not necessarily going to change our life. Priorities, one of the favorite quotes I have is, when everything in your life is a priority, nothing is a priority. And just think about that for a minute. And I've had people say, there's nothing here on my day that I can get rid of. There's nothing I'm doing I can get rid of. And so that person is making everything that they do a priority, when in fact, we really need to look at that and say, what are my values? It goes back to what is truly important to me. What do I value most? What am I most grateful for? What 3 things are most important to me? And then after you do that, I really like you to look and see if you're anywhere on that list, if you yourself are anywhere on that list. Women in particular rarely put themselves on a priority list. If you've got a list of 20 priorities, you may not even make it on the list. And so, in future weeks, we're going to talk more about getting yourself up on that list, because as they say on the airplane, put on your own oxygen mask first. So, and so we really can't be our best self unless we're putting ourselves on that priority list. So really think about, what are the things that are truly most important to me.
I do love how you said narrow it down to like the top 3. And that can be really, really difficult. There's lots of resources available online to kind of get you started thinking about what are core values, what can my priorities be labeled as, that sort of thing. And certainly in the beginning, brainstorm and think about all the things that are important to you and all of your values, because yes, there can be lots of things, and then gradually narrow it down to those top 3. And I do live by that. And on my paper calendar, I do still have a paper calendar in addition to my computer calendar. At the top left corner, it always lists what are my top 3 priorities and core values for that week. And like you said, it's not that you have to choose 3 and those are going to be your 3 forevermore. So don't feel like that either. I reevaluate every Sunday nights. What are my top 3 for this week? So
it's the same as finding balance in your life.
Yeah.
Balance doesn't mean that everything is of equal balance all the time. It means, again, looking at your week or your month or your year, whatever that might be, or your day, and just figuring out how to incorporate the things that are going to bring you some peace and joy, and not just that to-do list.
Yep. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Because, and this is a little off topic, but on topic,
It's okay.
finding balance.
Mhm.
Like you said, there is no like magic formula,
Mhm.
or it's not, if you're watching this and you're thinking over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to give you a formula that you can live by to find perfect, simplify your life perfectly and find perfect balance. I'm sorry, but that's not exactly how it works.
Everybody's balance wheel is different.
Yes. Yes.
Which comes back to values and priorities.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The next one is learn to say no. Yeah. Don't say no right away. Okay. Except maybe you should, but truly learning to say no is going to be important, and that is hard for us. But you need to remember that everything we say yes to takes up space. Okay. It takes up space in our life mentally, physically, on our calendars, our electronics, takes up spiritual space. It takes up emotional space. And we only have so much room. Okay? We only have so many hours in the day, and we have so much room on that platter, or those platters. And so when you're asked to do something, or something wants to be on your plate, desperately on your plate, ask yourself, how would this serve me? How does this person or thing fill me up, or help me become a better person, or be the person I want to be?
And is it in line with my priorities
and values?
Yep. And I often tell people too, and maybe you were going to say this, sorry, but when you say yes to something, you're inherently saying no to something else. So when you say yes, like Linda said, you've got only so much time in your day. And if your day is already full and you add something else to that, what then are you saying no to?
Right. Absolutely. And we have to learn. I know I'm saying this doesn't just necessarily apply to women, but so often we have to be able to say no without excuses or guilt. And knowing that when we say no to something that really is not important to us, we're setting a personal boundary that's important. And we teach people how we want to be treated. So if we're the one that's always getting the request, it's because we've always said yes. And so if that's not how you want to, if you don't want to feel like a dumping ground, you have to have the courage to step up sometimes and say no. And when we do that and we have our boundaries, we actually allows us to do fewer things much better. And I was telling Nicole earlier, with those personal boundaries, I respect people who have personal boundaries with their space and their time. And sometimes when someone says no, and I'm feeling like I have to say yes all the time, I look at them and think, really? You're saying no, and yet my plate is so full.
We like to compare, right? How busy we are.
I'm busier than you, and you're saying no.
Yeah.
When in fact, if I really take time to reflect on it, it's just me saying, why don't I have the courage to stand up for my boundaries and say no sometimes? And we can say no with great love and compassion, and we don't have to make excuses. But and there are so many ways that we could go into on how to say no with love, but knowing that you can do that is important. Next, control. Let go of what you can't control. And I'm going to come back to the serenity prayer. Say it with me if you know it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are so many things that we have control over. Our mindset, our actions, our reactions, our perceptions, our attitude. And there are a few things that are outside of our control, but sometimes we're allowing that to be. When we truly can say no and we have much more control, I believe, than we think we do.
I would agree.
The choice may not be a great one.
Or an easy one.
Or an easy one, but we have to have the courage to at least look at that and determine, you know what, I can control my time. I don't have to be available to everybody all the time.
Mhm.
I can carve out 20 minutes of me time in a day. And then the last one is think about small changes over time. Again, let's not get overwhelmed. We need to think about small, consistent changes. And you're probably sitting there thinking, you know, this is all great, but when am I going to find time to answer these questions and write it in a journal and really think deeply about these things? It doesn't necessarily have to be all at once. We're just planting seeds for you to start thinking about it and be more mindful about it. You can do things like a 10-minute walk when you get home from work, maybe doing meal plans for 1 week or 5 days. So you know for the next 5 days that you have the right food on hand and the things prepped. So it's not chaos when you get home from work. It can be a 1-minute meditation over your coffee or tea in the morning. These are small things that can help you take control back of your life. So really start thinking about, you know, what are some small steps I can take? Again, what is the one thing you can do that would have the biggest impact on your life that you could change?
All aspects of your life too.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, again, it goes back to our belief in mind, body, spirit, health, and wellness, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. And so, you know, if you have to start with one thing, I think starting by really clarifying what your values are. And if you're interested in getting a value sheet and the process for doing that, you can email me afterwards and I'll send that to you. But what are your values and are your actions out of alignment with your values? That's when we start getting into trouble. And we start doubting ourselves and we start getting stressed out because we're saying yes to things that don't fall under our values. And so knowing what those are probably a first step in this process. And
or going back to the one word.
yeah,
even.
or your one word, yeah, for the year. And so then again, in the next 4 lunch and learns, we're going to dig in deeper to each of those and into more detail. So hopefully you're going to be able to join us, take some notes, and I hope we can give you some good insight and ways to move forward in this process.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That is definitely an important first step, is taking the time to evaluate where you're at with your life. Where is there clutter in your life? Where are there things that you could be simplifying to find more joy and peace and life satisfaction? So thank you for joining us today. Really, really appreciate it. Our next Lunch and Learn will be on March 10th. It will be Simplify Your Thinking. And so make sure you join us for that. Remember, advanced registration is not required. We'll be meeting back at the same link next time. So be there or be square, right? We were laughing about being hip earlier. I don't think that's a thing anymore either. But anyway, here's our contact information, Statera Integrated Health and Wellness Solutions. Please feel free to visit our website at stateraintegrated.com or call our front desk 563-207-8932. Dr. Linda Peterson, thank you so much for being with me today. Nicole. I really enjoy it. And this content never gets old.
It doesn't. There's so much.
It really doesn't. And like she said, if you have any questions or anything for her directly, feel free to reach out to her. That's her email address there. Also, she does free 15-minute consultations. So if you'd like to learn more about life purpose coaching, what that would look like for you, what to expect, feel free to schedule one of those either by emailing Linda, visiting MindBody or our website, or calling our front desk. I'm Nicole Hutchison, owner, CEO here at Statera. And if you'd like to schedule a free 30-minute consultation with me to learn more about Statera, you're welcome to do that as well. So until next time, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.